This week's episode of Young Blackjack was actually really interesting because we get to see how Hazama he lives and how he obtained his skills. Because the way he does it is that he does operation on fish, and some of them actually still lives. I don't know if you can operate on a fish. I don't know because I'm not a fish person, so I don't know if you can like fix a fish if that's if you are really attached to a fish. So I don't know that. And he also does like surgery on pig legs. And should this fish die and turn out to be a failure, he doesn't throw it out in the garbage can. He actually reuses it by eating it. So that's really responsible. However, we get to see someone that is really not very responsible because their egotism almost cost either Hasama his what's called his career or his or a guy's life, because we have this guy Smith who is a deserter together with one called Merrill, who due to a head trauma or a head injury he got, and yes, that is actually real. You can actually die in theory from this if you hit hard enough. He got a what is called a cerebral edema, or in layman's term, brain swallowing, which basically means that the brain basically swallows so much that there's not enough space in the cranium to have space for it. So yeah, it can actually cause a person to go into cardiac arrest if it's not treated. And the way you treat it is that you uh, cut um, basically you cut some a piece away from the skull, and this procedure is really important that you do correctly, because if you get a little too far into the brain, you can actually cause let's say complications for the patient by destroying part of the brain. So it's really important that you doesn't cut too deep. So yeah, so seeing Hazmat doing this, and then later on finding out that it is really that he did almost perfectly, that is really showing his skill. Because let me say it like this: if I was a doctor, I could not do that because that is too risky for me. I could not do that. However, when I said egotistically, that is because we have these two people who helps deserters. One of them is called Tamura, and he studied 2 years behind Hazama in high school. And then there was this woman. Let's just say it like this: I really don't like her because, yeah, let's just say those two, they are, they actually like, they was actually ready to either throw Hazama's career out the window if something went wrong, or like as it happened in this, that Smith he actually of course succeeds and then calls the U.S. Embassy because he is actually an undercover agent from CIA. So he could actually have lost his career, or they would have let Smith die from this head injury. So they was really egotistically, and they basically like talked down to Hasama that he wouldn't save him. Like he didn't, yeah, he didn't do like it was his job to save them, even thought he wasn't a doctor yet. So he should save them. And the doctors only did it for money. Of course, you want to have some money for stuff you do. You it's not. It's nice to do something for free, but it's not profitable. Of course, I can understand their point because they don't want to go to jail for them helping deserters. Because, as Smith said, he would rather kill. He would rather get executed than be court-martialed, than be forced to kill kids in Vietnam. So yeah, and yes, the reason why they was egotistic was that they could have called an ambulance which could have fixed it, but they couldn't do that because then they would get caught. So yeah, he was really egotistic in this episode. But thanks to the CIA, Hazmat doesn't lose his career because all this is basically getting wiped clean because we can't have the person who did this get punished for it, or let's say it like this getting traced back to the US. So yeah. Also, we get some really interesting information because we found out that apparently Hasma, he was abandoned as a kid. I'm not sure if it was his parents or if it was the doctors. Well, we also find out that the reason why Hasma looks this way he does as a patchwork basically is because he was like almost torn apart, and he could have died if it wasn't because this Dr. Honya decided to work on him despite there being a failure risk, because this doctor couldn't like give up on the patient. And Hasama, he wanted to be like him, and that's actually why he went back and not called the ambulance, because he couldn't abandon Smith. So yeah, it's a really interesting series, this Doctor Blackjack, oh, young Blackjack, yeah, that's really interesting series. I must say, um, I'm looking forward to the next episode. Even though this episode was, this got really close because this is ooh, this is one of the operations I really doesn't like to see. Luckily, it wasn't like going into deep detail with showing stuff, and you know, because then I most likely couldn't have watched it. But when that is said and done, you guys have a good day, good night, wherever you are. I will see you later. Cheers.